I appreciate your time today, George. It was a welcome, message off Norman during the week, just saying that you were willing to give us some time to just talk about your time at Newcastle, but particularly the game against Man United, which we'll come to in a short while. Just to let you know what we do, we're part of a sort of a podcast for a fanzine called True Faith. And what we do is we just always pick old games, what we try to call better days, and and talk about them and just and put them out to the listeners. So to go back before my time's a bit of a challenge for me, because obviously I didn't go then. I wasn't born till 78, but I've swatted up a little bit on it, and I know a bit of my history. So fingers crossed we can get through it. First of all, I mean, the first question really for you, George, is do you still follow Newcastle? Do you still look out for the results and go to games?
Oh, yeah. I'm daft. I mean, I'm on news now in Newcastle every day at work, just checking up on what's happening and following them all the time. I can't eat before a game when they're on the telly. I thought, right, I don't watch them on a full stomach. I've been in Newcastle since, I think my first game I went to was about 6, and that's it. Once you're into them, you're hooked, aren't you?
So, well, this is it. So 6.
Yeah.
Go on, George. Sorry.
I was going to say, I mean, the thing is, we don't ask for much, do we? I mean, we don't win a lot, but you just want to be entertained and hope that you're going to do something. And like I said, there's been a lot of high moments.
Well,
along our way.
Yeah, well, if you said your first game was 6, obviously, you were born in, it was 54, wasn't it, you were born?
54, yeah.
So, can you remember much about your first game at all, George?
All I remember, because when I looked it up, it was 6, we beat Brighton 5-0.
Right.
And all I can remember, I was in the Leazes end, I was right down in the front, Brighton played in all white, and we won 5-0, and that's it.
Well, that's a massive coincidence, because my first game was also a 5-0 win. It was 1988. It was when Paul Gascoigne was still at the club. So so you had a good introduction. I had a brilliant introduction, and it's probably been downhill since. But you touched on obviously supporting the club now, which is great to hear. So what was it like? Because you signed for Newcastle as a junior. I think you were 15 when you signed. Is that right, George?
Yeah. Well, I remember I was at a trial match and Joe Harvey was there, and after the trial game, it was me, another lad, Steve Allen, and he said to me, "How old are you, George?" I said, 16. He said, "Right, I'll be signing you. Will you be an apprentice?" I thought, bloody hell, what? I thought, great. Oh, that's brilliant. Don't have to worry about the exams now.
Right, yeah, of course.
And, that was it. I mean, I was just talking about the other day to some of my mates at work. I can remember the first time I pulled on a Newcastle shirt, a junior game, up at Hunter's Moor.
Right.
I was sat in the changing room, put the black and white shirt on, and I just looked down at the badge, and I've never felt so proud in all my life.
Well, you're giving me goosebumps, George, because...
Oh, honestly, it was. I thought, this is what it's all about. I've got a black and white shirt on. It was unbelievable.
So obviously, you were a massive supporter. That's evident. You were going from you were 6. So to sign for Newcastle, obviously, the calibre of the players who were there at the time, look, we'll touch on some of them in a bit, but was it just a case of... did you have confidence in your own ability that you would make the grade, or was it just a case of you just were playing for Newcastle and you didn't care how far you got? How did you feel at the time?
No, it was just seemed to get taken along from the ride. I was always good at school at sport, and one thing just sort of led to another. Right. I got picked up. The story behind how I got picked up was the local postman was a Sunderland supporter, right? And the rep for one of the cigarette companies was a Newcastle scout. Right. And he said, you should be checking out this lad, this local lad. And that's how it came about, and I got trials there, and it went on from there, and it just, you seem to get carried along. It goes in stages, because when you're an apprentice, it's a question, right, will I get signed full-time? Yeah. It's... Because when I was there was a lot of good lads didn't make the grade. I mean, I I never made the grade where I made hundreds and hundreds of games, but I got signed on. I saw a lot of good lads didn't make it.
Yeah.
And then I got signed on, and it's just where it took you.
So what was your style then, George? What was your style?
Yeah, good question. Centre forward. I thought I was quick, and it turned out I was good in the air.
Right.
I was,
So would you say you were more of a? Would it be underestimating your ability to say you were a bit of a target man, or could you play on the deck as well? What was your? If you could compare yourself, yeah.
I like to think I could play on the deck because as a centre forward, I'm not a big, strong lad. When I was at Newcastle, the coach of the junior team, Jeff Allen, did a write-up on the paper on this, and he says he compared this to Alan Clark of Leeds.
Right, okay. That's a good one.
I never saw him as a young lad, but he said he's double here, the way he runs and plays, and I can see that.
Right. That's a compliment of the highest order, that, and that must have given you a real buzz as a young lad, yeah?
Yeah.
So after that, then obviously you were the juniors for a couple of years, and I've just swatted up there. And I believe you did you sign professional terms when you literally turned 18? Is that how it come about?
Yeah, when I turned 18. Yeah, and that was a great day. And he said, I think you'll be on £37 a week, George.
So was that would have been a lot of money then, yeah?
Well, it was to me.
Yeah.
When I joined Newcastle as an apprentice at 16, my wage was £4 a week.
Right.
But I got expenses for my train because I used to get the train into work every day.
I'm assuming you were still at the parents back then as well, yeah, as a kid.
Yeah. But I mean, in those days, it was. You had to play for the first team to make some money because it was all down to appearance money and gate money and all different bonuses. And I mean, I don't begrudge the players now, but you don't have to play to be making the money. But then you did. You had an incentive to get in the first team.
This is it. Well, that comes to me, brings me perfectly to the next question, then, George, because you came into the side at Leicester. Your debut was at Leicester City, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And was it a straight replacement for Supermac or?
Yeah, I mean, it was the balls out of the blue. I hadn't been training with the first team, nothing. I turned up Friday morning at Scotswood for training after me hour-long train ride in.
Right.
And Joe Harvey just says, wants a word. I said, right. He says, right, George, you're playing tomorrow.
Right.
I said, what? He says, you're playing tomorrow at Leicester. Have you got your stuff? I said, well, because we're stopping overnight. I said, well, no, everything's at home. He said, right, get yourself home. So I had to go got the train back home. Mother said, what the hell are you doing here? I said, I'm playing tomorrow at Leicester. She says, give over, what are you doing? I said, no, I need my overnight stuff. So got that, then got back to the ground, and just as we were ready to pull out, and it's question, all right, George, we need photographs of you getting on the bus and this, that and the other. Oh, bloody hell. It was all whirlwind.
Brilliant, brilliant. So obviously, we had a great start to the season then. I believe we were second from the top.
Oh, yeah, we were up there. We had a good team. And, that night I roomed with Irving Natras, and I can always remember my pre-match meal the next day. I couldn't really eat it. I was choking on it. And then when I got to the ground, it was inside the ground. There was telegrams and everything from everyone. Right. It was lovely. But no, I enjoyed it. We had a good team, and I wasn't fazed by it. In fact, it was brilliant to play with better players and on a good ground and atmosphere. And this is it. This is fantastic. And Peter Shilton denied us on the day from getting a goal, but
wow, Shilton was in goal then, right?
Yeah. In fact, I went to celebrate. I thought I'd scored.
Right.
It was one of these headers going over him, but he arched his back and tipped it over the bar, and that was it.
Was that your only sniff of the game?
Oh no, I had another sniff in the first half. I followed up a shot, the rebound, and that's all I can remember of the game. But it was.
Fantastic.
We played well. I think it was Keith Della scored for them. Right. Seems to ring a bell.
Right. So we'll go down 1-0. I suppose that the whole purpose of this conversation, George, it's a great story. You know, we play Man United next week now. Christ, it's come around quick, but we'll play them next week. And you know, as I say, we always try and dip back to olden days. Now, 17th of November 1973, mate. You were 19, and you've kept your place in the side. We're up against a Manchester United team. Now, obviously, everyone knows of George Best. They know of Charlton, etc., etc. But I've just had a quick glance at the team sheet. You know, I probably don't need to tell you this, but I'm in awe here because you've got George Best, you've got Lou Macari, you've got Jimmy Greenhoff, and you've also got Brian Kidd, and then you've got George Graham, who I really didn't know played for Man United, but that's the lad who ended up managing Arsenal and Spurs.
Yeah, he scored, actually.
So paint the picture for us then, George. It's your home debut. You know, there's 40,000 there. You know, tell us, you know, what your thoughts were and how you believe the game went.
Well, we played. We've started off. I mean, we scored the first goal. Remember, we got a free kick, and Terry Hibbett took it on the right hand side. And it was one of those. I just sort of looked at him, and he looked at me, and he knew. I thought, right, just put it in that spot there, and he put it in that spot, and I ran on, diving header, and hit Stepney's knees, and Tommy Cassidy knocked in the rebound.
Have you watched it back? You probably have watched it back, George. Have you?
That's a silly question, isn't it?
Because obviously I had to educate myself on the game, and what I love about the commentator is after the goal by Cassidy, and I'll quote him word for word. He says, "A lot of the good work was done by Newcastle's 19-year-old centre forward George Hope." Now that's brilliant. That's brilliant.
Oh yeah, and then they started knocking it about a bit. I mean, they had a poor team in those days. I think they went down that year, but they had some good players and they could play a bit. And then we went 2-1 down. And you're thinking, oh, we lost last week, we lost this week. Everyone would be thinking, God, I wish we had Supermac back or something. You know. But we turned around second half. Like I say, we got back to all square. Cassidy again after Tommy Gibb run, he knocked it across, and Tommy knocked it in. It was 2-2, and then then came the winning goal from the corner.
Well, again, just for the listeners' benefit, you know, we're attacking the Gallagher end then. I mean, to be fair, it was all about the Leazes end back then, wasn't it? That was the main...
Yeah, that's where I went, I never understand why they went on about the Gallagher, because the Leazes end...
You're showing your age now, George.
That was the singing end, wasn't it?
It was.
That's where... Yeah.
But still, Gallagher end, you know, if it's good enough for... the likes of Keegan to score on his debut at the Gallagher end, it's good enough for George Hope, you know what I'm saying? So I've looked it up. Your memory's probably better than mine, but I've just got the benefit of the TV footage, and it looked as if it was a well-worked corner. I couldn't make out who put the cross in. Would that have been Hibbett?
Terry Hibbett, yeah.
Terry Hibbett, right. Yeah, and then it seemed to hang in the air, but you didn't just head it, you sort of control and directed it into the corner of the net.
Yeah. And when it went in, I thought, bloody hell, it was one of those that you had to wait a second. I thought, Christ, I've scored.
Is that why your celebration was a little bit sort of subdued? Would you not subdued, but just a little bit disbelief?
We didn't have celebrations in those days. you didn't. You just, that's all you did. Hands up in the air, that's it. There was none of these pre-planned celebrations that you get now.
But still, you know, you scored the winner for Newcastle on your debut against Manchester United. How did your night go? Or was that a silly question?
Well, it was after the game. It was funny because Diana Ross came into the changing rooms, wanted to meet us and shake my hand, and then Frank Clark says they want to interview you, George, on the pitch. Oh, I said, no, do it. I said, no, go on. I said, no, I don't really want to do it. He says, you get £25, you know. I said, all right, I'll go on.
Bloody hell.
Yeah. So I did that, and then that night back home in the village in Edenbridge, went out, and it was funny though, because it was one of those things. I think, well, if you act like a bloody idiot, so look at that big head, and if you're all quiet, you think, what's up with him?
Yeah.
You didn't really know how to act, but
didn't know what to do.
No, it was a good night, and it's still the same when I go home now. Bloody, they tell the grandbands now. So, oh, this is him. That's George Hope. I tell you about got that goal.
Wow, that's just it's just unbelievable. I mean, like I say, in no disrespect to you, but obviously it's not my era. But reading up on it and then thinking, it doesn't matter who you've pulled on the black and white shirt, you've scored on your home debut, and the fact that it's against arguably the biggest club in possibly the world. You tell me.
That's what made it. Who I was playing, wasn't it? Yeah. If it'd been Southampton or Bournemouth or something like that, it wouldn't be mentioned, but it's Man United, George Best, and it's like I live down here in York now, and I mean, there's loads of Leeds fans down here like, is this? Oh, this is the bloke scored against Man United.
Brilliant. Well, the following week then, George, I mean, I'm just starting up really just to remind you, but you probably know the full career, but we'll go down to Goodison Park and play out a 1-1 draw. You kept your place in the side again.
Yeah.
And then it looks as if Pop Robson came into the side for Supermark. Were you disappointed? Or was it an injury at your end? Or?
It was an injury.
Right.
I wasn't injured in the game, but on the way home, we stopped off for a meal. And when I tried to get out with the chair, I was my back's bloody killing us. I pulled a muscle in my back. And there was a midweek game, I think it was a Texaco Trophy or something like that.
Right.
Which would have been played, but I couldn't. I pulled the muscle in my back and I was out for a couple of weeks. Then basically, once I got fit again, it was one of those, everyone else was fit.
Right.
Supermac was back. And Tudor, and there was Keith Robson then as well.
Right.
And Paul Cannell. So basically, that was it.
Well, you say that, but towards the end of the season, you came back for another trio of games.
At the end of the season, I got some games as well. But I was stuck out in the wing then.
Right.
Supermac and Tudor were playing, and I was like right wing.
Right.
Which it's not right wing, but it was still nice to play.
Well, I've just again looking up the fixtures. Well, end of season form in the league was absolutely atrocious, to be honest. But I think there was some clear distractions with the FA Cup run. But you played and we beat Everton at home again in front of 45,000. So and forgive us if I'm incorrect, but I don't think you ever substituted. So you must have done okay.
Yeah, I did all right.
As a part-time winger.
Yeah, they didn't have any substitutes then, so they had to be careful.
Right, okay, mate. So that makes it all, and forgive me for that. But
you only had 12 players then. That's why it was so much harder to get into the team.
Right. It wasn't a squad game then, was it? You were just...
Well, you had about 16 or 17 players, and on a Saturday, you didn't have a substitute goalie for a kickoff.
Right, yeah. Uh-huh. Well, so at that point then, you 3 games towards the end of that season. I mean, it was good timing in a sense because the City must have been absolutely buzzing. I just reached the cup final.
Yeah.
What's your memories of the cup? I mean, obviously you weren't in the team, but did you get to the games? No. Were you there as a supporter or
well, no, I was playing. I was like, I can remember the biggest memories of the semi-final against Burnley. Supermac.
Yeah.
I can still see it now, and the through ball and the bouncy pitch and him just knocking it in.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. We've had nothing since then.
Oh yeah. A couple of little sniffs, but nothing worth. I mean, it's amazing that people still talk about that semi-final as like winning a trophy. Such was the atmosphere and the way we Hibbert's ball to Supermac, as you say. And
but I saw us win the first cup '69.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I was 15 then. I watched all the European games then, and I can't believe that's the last thing we won. '69. There's many times I said, "Christ, I hope I see us win something before we die again."
Yeah. I think we're all in the same boat, unfortunately, George. So it's so obviously the cup final. I mean, were you there as a spectator? Did you manage to get a ticket? I'm assuming like Gold Dust.
No, I wasn't there.